Imagine it's 1950, and Dubai is a struggling village of barely 5,000 people huddled around a creek in the desert. The economy runs on pearling and fishing, and both industries are dying. The pearl trade collapsed in the 1930s when the Japanese invented cultured pearls. The Great Depression destroyed what little trade remained. World War II cut off Dubai's trade networks completely. The Great Storm of 1908 had struck the pearling boats decades earlier, killing over 100 men and sinking a dozen boats. Families lost breadwinners, merchants faced financial ruin, and the economy never really recovered. Meanwhile, just down the coast, Abu Dhabi is discovering massive oil reserves and getting rich. Dubai, they find oil in 1966, but it's not nearly enough. Abu Dhabi discovers 92 billion barrels of oil reserves. Dubai, just 4 billion barrels. Abu Dhabi's oil production keeps growing. Dubai's production peaks in 1991 at 410,000 barrels per day and then starts declining. By the 2000s, Dubai's oil reserves are expected to be exhausted within 20 years. But here's what makes Dubai's story absolutely fascinating. Instead of collapsing when the oil ran out, Dubai became one of the richest cities on earth. Oil that once accounted for 50% of GDP now contributes less than 1%. How? Through one of the most brilliant economic strategies ever executed, the free zone model. Hey, I'm Brandon, and welcome back to My Money Mint, the channel where I dive into topics related to money and wealth. All right, let's get into it. The story of Dubai's transformation begins with a visionary leader who understood something most oil-rich nations missed. Oil wealth is temporary. What you build with it determines whether you sink back into poverty or create lasting prosperity. Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum ruled Dubai from 1958 to 1990, and he was responsible for transforming a small settlement around Dubai Creek into a modern port city and regional commercial hub. Unlike other Gulf rulers who just spent oil money on palaces and luxury, Sheikh Rashid had a plan. Between 1958 and 1959, he commissioned British consulting company Halcro to dredge Dubai Creek, borrowing £500,000 from Kuwait to do it. He also commissioned British consulting company John Harris to draw up the first structured town plan in the Gulf, a visionary move when other regional rulers were still thinking in terms of tribal territories. Here's what made Sheikh Rashid different. He understood that Dubai's location between East and West was more valuable than its limited oil. He could turn Dubai into a trading hub if he built the right infrastructure. In 1966, when Dubai discovered the Fateh oil field, Sheikh Rashid immediately ordered construction of a deep-sea container terminal. Port Rashid was contracted in June 1967 for £9 million to build 4 berths. But during construction, Sheikh Rashid did something that showed his real genius. He expanded the design from 4 berths to 16 berths, eventually reaching 21 berths. He was planning for growth that hadn't happened yet. Port Rashid opened in 1972 and immediately began attracting shipping traffic. But Sheikh Rashid wasn't satisfied. He wanted something bigger. In 1971, Sheikh Rashid announced he wanted a port built at Jebel Ali, a remote location 35 kilometers southwest of Dubai City. People thought he was crazy. The location seemed too far from everything, but Sheikh Rashid saw what others didn't. The future port would need space, massive space that didn't exist near the crowded Dubai Creek. The 66-berth Jebel Ali port opened in 1983 as the world's largest man-made harbor. And it still holds that title today. Now, here's where the story gets really interesting. Most countries would have stopped there, build a big port, attract some shipping, collect port fees. But Sheikh Rashid understood something deeper about how to attract real wealth. In 1985, under a ruler's decree, the Jebel Ali Free Zone, JAFZA, commenced operations with 19 companies. This wasn't just another port facility. This was a revolutionary economic model that would transform Dubai from a regional shipping hub into a global business center. Here's what made it revolutionary. Outside the Jebel Ali Free Zone, UAE commercial law required foreigners to go into business with local UAE sponsors who were entitled to own at least 51% of the business. Think about what that means. You bring your company, your expertise, your capital to the UAE, and a local partner who contributed nothing automatically owns more of the business than you do. Most foreign companies wouldn't accept those terms. Why would you? But inside Jebel Ali Free Zone, everything was different. Foreign companies were free to manufacture, trade, and form joint ventures as they pleased with zero local ownership requirement. The benefits were stunning: 100% foreign ownership with no local sponsor required, full exemption on personal or corporate income tax, 100% repatriation of profits and capital, no currency restrictions, no import or export duties, and zero customs barriers. And the setup process was simple. To register, you filled out a 2-page questionnaire and faxed it to Dubai. You got an initial response in about a week. By keeping bureaucracy minimal, Jebel Ali could deliver office keys to new clients in less than 2 months. Compare that to most countries where starting a business requires months of paperwork, bribes to officials, and dealing with corrupt bureaucracies. JAFSA offered 50 years of zero corporate tax, renewable, on-site customs, full capital repatriation, no restrictions on hiring foreign workers. It was capitalism in its purest form. Zero barriers, zero taxes, complete freedom. In 1985, the UAE established its first free zone at Jebel Ali Port as a strategic move to attract external investment by offering a custom-free export environment. 16 companies registered in the first year. That might not sound impressive, but remember, this was a revolutionary concept in 1985. Most countries were increasing regulations and barriers, not eliminating them. The success came quickly. By the time of early reporting, an average of 16 new companies were registering each month. By the late 1980s, about 850 companies had registered, including almost 100 American firms. The model was working, but the real explosion came in the 1990s and 2000s. By 2023, Jebel Ali Free Zone hosted over 9,500 companies, including more than 100 Fortune Global 500 companies. Let that sink in. From 19 companies in 1985 to over 9,500 companies in 2023. That's a 500-fold increase in less than 40 years. The economic impact was staggering. JAFSA accounts for almost 32% of total foreign direct investment flow into the UAE. It contributes 21% of Dubai's GDP annually. It sustains employment of more than 144,000 people. Businesses registered in JAFSA generate $190 billion in trade value in 2024. To put that in perspective, Dubai's total GDP in 2023 was $117 billion. The free zone alone generates more in trade value than the entire city's GDP. But JAFSA was just the beginning. Dubai recognized that the free zone model could be replicated for different industries. They developed the internet and media free zones, offering 100% foreign ownership and tax-free office space for the world's leading ICT and media companies. The Dubai International Financial Center was announced, offering 55.5% foreign ownership initially, no withholding tax, and freehold land and office space. The UAE now boasts over 40 free zones, with the majority in or around Dubai. Each one specialized for different industries: technology, media, finance, logistics, manufacturing. But the free zones alone weren't enough. Dubai built an integrated ecosystem. Emirates Airline was formed by the Dubai government in the 1980s and became one of the few airlines to witness strong growth even during downturns. Emirates is now the largest operator of the Airbus A380 aircraft. An airport that started as a runway built on salt flats in the 1950s was expanded into Dubai International Airport, eventually becoming one of the busiest airports in the world. The 1980s diversification centered around trade and creation of shipping and logistics centers: Port Rashid, Jebel Ali Port and Free Zone, and Dubai International Airport. This led to major global players in shipping, transportation, and logistics: DP World, Emirates, and DNATA. Each piece reinforced the others. The port attracted shipping, the free zones attracted businesses, the airport connected everything to global markets. Emirates carried both cargo and passengers. The whole system worked together. And the numbers show the transformation. Oil production, which once accounted for 50% of Dubai's GDP, now contributes less than 1%. Tourism produces 20% of GDP. The economy is genuinely diversified. Dubai's GDP for 2023 was 429 billion dirhams, about $117 billion. In quarter 1 2025, Dubai's GDP was 119.7 billion dirhams, a 4% increase compared to the same period last year. The sector breakdown shows a modern, diversified economy. Wholesale and retail trade represents 26% of GDP, transport and logistics 12%, banking and capital markets 10%, manufacturing 9%, real estate 7%, construction 6%, tourism 5%. This is the payoff from 40 years of strategic planning, an economy that doesn't depend on oil, built on trade, logistics, finance, and services. But here's what makes Dubai's story even more impressive. Jebel Ali port wasn't initially successful. Two factors worked against it early on. Dubai's merchants regarded it as too far out of town and preferred Port Rashid close to their warehouses and offices. And Sealand Shipping Company, which managed the port, tried to attract shipping lines while competing with them, causing those lines to treat Jebel Ali with suspicion. Most governments would have given up or scaled back. Dubai didn't. They kept investing, kept improving, kept marketing the advantages until the model worked. That persistence is what separated Dubai from countries that tried to copy the free zone model and failed. Many countries attempted similar free zones, but lacked Dubai's combination of factors: strategic location between East and West, visionary leadership willing to take massive risks, willingness to offer unprecedented freedoms that threatened existing power structures, integration of port-airport free zone into a seamless system, political stability under autocratic but business-friendly rule, and continuous adaptation over decades. The expansion accelerated under Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, in power since 2006. Known for his visionary spirit, Sheikh Mohammed led initiatives to further diversify the economy and reduce dependence on oil revenues. Sectors like tourism, real estate, information technology, and renewable energies saw significant growth. Creation of additional free trade zones, construction of iconic skyscrapers like the Burj Khalifa, and development of visionary projects like the Palm Jumeirah established Dubai as a global center for commerce, tourism, and innovation. Dubai sought to boost itself as a tourism destination by building hotels and developing real estate. In 2018, the tourism sector welcomed 14.9 million visitors, remarkable for a city that had barely 5,000 people in 1950. But the success hasn't come without challenges and risks. During the 2008 financial crisis, Dubai almost defaulted. The government was obliged to downsize and restructure state entities. The IMF stated in 2019 that Dubai's debt exceeded 100% of its GDP. Abu Dhabi had to roll over a bailout loan of $20 billion to Dubai. The city that had seemed invincible suddenly looked vulnerable. In February 2025, concerns emerged that Dubai could face issues as its popularity led to increasing tourist arrivals and growing population. Congestion has worsened, and property prices have increased dramatically. In 2024, rental prices increased by 20% in some key residential areas. More than 90% of the population are foreigners, creating challenges around long-term sustainability and social cohesion. What happens to a city where citizens are a tiny minority and almost everyone else is temporary? These are real problems without easy solutions. Dubai's model works brilliantly for attracting business and capital, but it creates a transient society where few people have long-term stakes in the community's future. But despite these challenges, Dubai's transformation remains one of history's most dramatic economic success stories. From a struggling, purling village of 5,000 people in the 1950s to a global business hub with GDP of $117 billion, represents economic transformation on a scale rarely seen in human history. The key lessons from Dubai's success are clear. First, recognize what you don't have. Dubai understood its oil wouldn't last and planned accordingly, while other oil-rich nations squandered their wealth assuming it would never end. Second, Invest in trade infrastructure. Sheikh Rashid spent borrowed money on ports before Dubai even had significant trade, betting that if you build it, they will come. Third, eliminate barriers. The free zone model worked because it removed every obstacle to doing business. No local partners required, no taxes, no customs, no bureaucracy. Fourth, integrate systems. Port plus, airport plus, free zones, plus airline created a seamless ecosystem where each piece reinforced the others. Fifth, maintain stability. Dubai's autocratic government provided political stability and business friendly policies for decades, something democratic countries often struggle to maintain across different administrations. Sixth, persist through initial failures. Jebel Ali Port struggled at first, but Dubai kept investing until the model worked. The result? Oil that once represented 50% of GDP now contributes less than 1%. A city that shouldn't exist in the middle of the desert has become a global trading hub generating $190 billion in trade annually through a single free zone. Dubai proved that geography isn't destiny, oil wealth is temporary, but smart infrastructure is permanent, and eliminating barriers creates more prosperity than protecting local interests. From desert to metropolis in 70 years. That's the power of strategic vision executed with discipline. Thank you for watching my Money Mint. If you have a topic you want to see me make a video about, please let me know in the comments below.